Okay, so this is. Hold up. Oh. Okay, I thought it was. So this is my review for No Time to Die. This is my second recording because the first one I realized too quiet, so I need to speak louder. Like louder. So it's gonna be the same thing as the first recording, but nobody's gonna know, and I don't even remember entirely what I said from it. I just know it was really quiet, and I went, you know what? I need to speak louder. So this one's not gonna be spoiler heavy, but it is gonna have spoilers because it's gonna be less spoiler heavy. You know what I mean? But like quicker rundown of the story. So basically, Madeline from Spectre, when she talked about how she knows how to use weapons, and a dude who killed her mother tried to kill her father, but her father wasn't there, so he was going to kill her and her mother, which he did kill her mother, and she was upstairs hiding. Then she shot the dude, thought he was dead, and she was dragging his body. Turns out he's alive, and then, she freaks out, runs away, and then he ends up saving her. And then a few years pass. James Bond and Madeline are in Italy. Well, I say a few years pass, but that was like a flashback. But then a few years after Spectre, there we go, James Bond and Madeline are in Italy, and, they're just hanging out, getting freaky. Then James Bond goes to Vesper's grave to basically forget, all that jazz. And then turns out, boom, bomb, right there. Right in his face. He survives. He runs over, thinking something's up. Some dudes chase him, shoot at him, fight him. And then one of them said, "Hey, Madeline is a daughter, respect her." Yeah, he's a daughter, respect her, right? So then he sees Madeline. She's like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" He doesn't trust her. Well, but he's kind of like, pissed off and whatnot, right? Thinking she did something. And then when they're trying to escape and whatnot, they get shot at and whatnot, and she's over here begging James Bond to do something because he's just sitting there while the car's getting shot at. And then the car has weapons, so he shoots around and all that. After convincing from Madeline, he's like, okay. After she begged. And then he puts on her train. She's like, "Am I ever going to see you again?" He's like, "Probably not." Actually, not even probably not. Never. My bad, never. And then years pass. He's retired in Jamaica. I forgot his name, the actor. Well, even the character's name I forgot. But he was in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. But, yeah, he's there. The black dude. I'm just going to say that. Well, yeah, bald black dude. He's there, gives James Bond a rundown of what's happening, and he's like, I don't know. He's reluctant to it. Then there's a woman. He takes her to his place, and then turns out, she's an agent, and she was being like, "Yeah, don't accept the mission. If you get in my way, I'll shoot you." And he's like, all right. And she's like, "By the way, I'm the new 007. And then he's like, "Bray." And then he's like, why did I? He's like, and it had to do with Spectre from when he was told, right? And so he's like, "Hey, I want to be a part of this." He tells M's like, "No." Yeah, this is going to be longer than the other one. But, the recording, M's like, "No." And he's like, he's like, "You know what, fine, I'm going to help the CIA." And then he does, he finds the scientist that was making the thing for Spectre, and then guess what? The scientist made it to where all the Spectre agents died, so anyone who's part of Spectre, bleh, it's a virus, even though it's like meant for James Bond. But nope. Spectre all got killed. He's confused. Ana de Armas, his character, is confused as well. That's a sidekick from the CIA. And then they get the scientist, and then James Bond goes to the plane with him, fly over to the bald man, and then he's like, they're talking, he's like, how come this, that, thing turns out, spy, and he was with bald dude all along. His name started with an L, but I keep forgetting. Not the spy was like Ash or something like that. And then, turns out, Ash was the spy, shoots L, I'm just going to call him L, and then L dies on the boat, James Bond escapes, he gets a raft, and then escapes because Ash goes boom with the boat. And then he basically, visits him, he's like, why was I this, that, all that jazz, part of the mission, and it was like, well, you're retired, simply can't allow you to go, this and that. Then he does off the book stuff, and then later him and M, it's like come to an agreement so he can work for him, M, and then and he wants to talk to Christoph Waltz's character. The only person that has access is Madeline, so he sees Madeline, and Madeline's like scared to be in there, so that she tries to leave. James Bond grabs her arm. He's like, what are you doing? She's like, no, I don't want to be in here, this, that. And he's like, okay. And so then him, James Bond, and Christoph Waltz's character are talking. He gets angry at Waltz's character. He strangles him. And then, he's like, what? And then he was told, he's like, they're like people. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. British guy. I'm just going to say that. Gosh dang, I'm terrible with names. British guy. He's like, what are you doing? Bond's like, yeah, I know how interrogation works, this and that. I was just doing it just to do it. And then they turn around to see that Christoph Waltz's character is dead. James Bond's like, Turns out it's the same virus that killed all the people at Spectre. And so, Christoph Waltz's character is dead. And as to how Madeline has that on her wrist, as to basically how James Bond got the point, it basically killed him. She had the virus on her, and she got the virus from a man, the same man who saved her on the lake. He's like, I got a favor to ask you. Yeah, kill this dude and whatnot. Turns out the virus is only targets whatever, like whoever makes it, like this, so it can target like certain people based off of DNA. So it can target relatives. It could target the actual person and their relatives because of the DNA, or it could target whole ethnicities and whatnot. And then James Bond finds Madeline because he was told to go do that. And it turns out she has a daughter, this and that. And then the dude that saved her, I forgot his name. The villain, he kidnaps Madeline and her daughter. James Bond goes with 007, which then she's like, yeah, you can call James Bond 007. And he's like, and Emma's like, very well. So then, I forgot the character's name. I was going to say 007 still, right? So they go on a mission. Oh, crap, my phone. They go on a mission to save Madeline and her daughter. The villain is at an island, which turns out is the whole place that, holds the, virus and whatnot for the making. So then fights happen, this and that. Then 007, Madeline and her daughter are able to escape the island. James Bond opens the doors to get the Navy to launch missiles at it. The big doors up atop, so the missiles destroy everything there. And as he's leaving, he finds Madeline's daughter's doll. And also, her daughter is James Bond's daughter. So they had a kid. So when they got freaky, kid created, but he didn't know because, he made Madeline leave him. So, he finds his daughter's little bunny. She's called it something in French, but I forgot what it was. He finds it, and he sees the big doors on shutters, whatever. They're closing, so he runs back up top to open them. Main villain shoots him. Is, mad. He smashes something on James Bond. And then he gives And he's like, yeah, now you'll never be able to touch the ones that you love the most, because it has the DNA of Madeline and her daughter. So if he touched them, they die. At all, And so then he kills the villain, and then he opens the big doors back up, and then he starts climbing up to the very top, and he's talking to Madeline on the radio, telling her goodbye, because he was shot at and he was losing blood, and two, he didn't want to be able to live the life of not being able to be with the ones he loves. Because if his daughter tries to hug him or something, she gets infected and dies. If his wife, tries to hug him, kiss him, or anything, she dies too. So he couldn't live with that life. And he just says goodbye to them, crying. And during that scene, it did make me cry. I'll cry like at a bunch of stuff. Bro, I don't know if that's being heard, but my leg is like very itchy. I keep scratching myself. My leg is super itchy for some reason, but yeah. I don't know if that was being heard the whole time. I didn't even realize I was doing it until I paid attention. I was like, oh, that's fun. But yeah, I did cry during the scene. It did make me sad. And then James Bond, he dies from the missiles that hit the island with his daughter's little bunny thing. And then M and the team, afterwards, they have a drink for James Bond after the mission. And then Madeline is driving with her daughter. Well, her daughter's small, still little, right? And then she's talking to her, and she's like, do you want me to tell you a story? And she's like, yeah. And then Madeline's like, okay. It's about a man named Bond, James Bond. And then her daughter smiles, and then that's the end of the movie. Yeah, that's the end of the movie. I feel like with the films, it's like you gotta watch it. For me, if the films are good, you gotta watch it to do it justice, because it's not like I'm over here or any other person that's doing a review unless you watch those dumb movie recap videos that basically recap the whole movie with an AI voice in the background. People love watching those. For me, it's like, if I were going to do that, it'd be something I don't want to watch. I don't know. With my family, we're not. I'm just like, let's just watch a review or something, right? Now, if it's just to catch up on something, I'll watch those. But if not, then no. But, yeah. I feel like you got to watch the movies in order for it to be done justice. So, for this movie, I'll put it above. Yeah, I'm going to put it above Casino Royale. On the last recording, I was a little hesitant because I was still I just was recording that after I finished watching the movie. But when I think about it now, it's like, once I had some time to think about it and whatnot, yeah, it's going to be above Casino Royale, but it's going to be below Skyfall. So for my list for the Daniel Craig, James Bond era movies, it's going to be Skyfall, No Time to Die, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Spectre, and then Quantum of Solace. My bad. I had those mixed up. Yeah, Spectre, then Quantum of Solace. And then for the opening themes, which it was Billie Eilish that did it for this one. I thought Radiohead did it, but my dumb self guessed wrong, or assumed wrongly. And I'm pretty sure they did the James Bond theme. At least from what I remember hearing, I thought it was the opening credits or whatnot. No. But yeah, Billie Eilish did the one for No Time to Die. For my ranking, I do Skyfall, Casino Royale, No Time to Die, Quantum of Solace, and then Spectre for the opening credits, with the songs and all that. But, I hope the video did not pick up me scratching my legs so much. They are itchy as heck. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the review. Have a good day, night, afternoon, evening, or whatever.
Stars more and more, wonder how low can you rise? Just lie in your mind now, fade into place that lasts too. Right in the house, moon's reaching stars. If you hold me tight, feeling happy so close, will this last long?